Welcome back to Real Lounge Entertainment. As always, I'm Mike.
And I'm Tyler.
And today, we want to say Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's, everybody.
And for that reason, we are going to do the 1993 film, Leprechaun. Now, Tyler, this movie used to terrify you, even though you never saw it. So you were afraid to watch it, right?
Correct.
And after watching it, just really quickly, was it really scary?
Hell no.
All right. Before we get into too many details of the movie, let's talk about the movie. And Tyler, for our channel, where can they hit us up at?
You can check us up on YouTube, X, TikTok, and Instagram at Real Lounge Entertainment.
All right. So this movie came out in 1993. Rated R, has a runtime of about an hour and a half, a budget of $900,000, which was very low at the time, and a box office of $8.5 million. So pretty solid. I mean, it's small numbers, especially today, but back then, not bad at all. And only 35% on Rotten Tomatoes. How do you feel about that, Tyler?
I feel like it's solid for what the movie actually
Yeah, I feel
is.
it's pretty fair.
Yeah.
Pretty fair for this movie. So this movie was written and directed by Mark Jones. Makeup effects by Gabriel Bartolos. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but special shout out to him because freaking amazing job.
They're pretty good in this.
Especially for such a low budget movie. He's the star. Leprechaun, played by Warwick Davis, one of my favorite actors of all time. So many movies. We can get into that a little bit later, but there will be plenty of Warwick Davis on this channel in the future. I guarantee it. Tori, played by Jennifer Aniston in her first movie.
Mm-hmm. Rachel Green herself.
Yeah, I'm not a Friends person. You like Friends, right?
Yeah, I love Friends.
Oh, God. Sorry for all you Friends fans, but no thank you.
Mike sucks. Don't listen to him.
Character Nathan, played by Ken Oland. Ozzy by Mark Holton, which he's in a few other movies I really like, especially Pee-wee's Big Adventure, so shout out to him. JD is played by John Sanderford, and Alex is played by Robert Hugh Gorman. So a couple people that you recognize, but not too many big career stuff here, except for Jennifer Aniston and Warwick, probably, as the two standouts. So after that, some of the movie stuff, let's just get into some of the scenes we liked, and then we'll get into some positives and negatives, and just let it go naturally from there. So I just want to start off by saying that the intro of this movie is lacking pretty good. It's just like the Leprechaun, and he is just like coming down the stairs. The music isn't very intense or anything like that. We're not getting too much backstory. So I just felt like maybe a little bit of an origin type of thing would have been better for this movie.
Yeah, I did. The one thing I did like in the opening scene, and it was kind of corny, I guess, a little bit, but when he's at the top of the stairwell and it's kind of like pitch black over his face, and then like the lightning strikes and you kind of see like the face a little bit. I thought that was kind of cool, but also kind of corny at the same time. But I thought it was cool.
A lot of corn in this movie, and that's what I like about this movie. It's not an amazing movie, but I like it for what it is. So the basic premise of this movie is there's a leprechaun and was it O'Grady?
Yeah, Dan O'Grady.
Yeah, he comes home from Ireland and tells his wife he's got all this money, all this gold or something like that, because he found it at the end of a rainbow and he stole it from a leprechaun. So he's all excited. He comes home in a limo and she's like, "What are you doing? Spending all that money?" Sorry for the bad accent. And yeah, so then the leprechaun, he wants his gold back, so he's coming after him, and he gets locked in the crate after he kills the wife. Mm-hmm. And as the old Mr. O'Grady is like locking him in the crate, he has a heart attack, and then that's basically him. He goes to like a retirement home after that, but he puts a 4-leaf clover on the crate, so that's when we find out that he can't
like touch it, or he can't do anything when it's around him.
That's like the weakness. The 4-leaf clover is how you defeat the leprechaun. I'll accept it. Small movie, small idea. Okay. I don't know how else I would do it, so I guess I can't really complain about it too much. Do you think that's a fair way to defeat it?
Nothing too crazy. I think it's just a solid concept for the movie.
All right, so now we're like 10 years later, and new father and daughter move into the house that's just been sitting there this whole time, and they hired these people to paint, and that's when we get like Ozzy. And are they brothers or are they not related?
I don't think they said anything. I don't know.
I don't know. They just seem like they're friends, but they're like, one's handicapped and one's like a kid and one's like older. So maybe the little kid's like a brother, and Ozzy, who's the handicap guy, is just like a friend.
Yeah, a friend of some sort, I would say.
Either way, they're already at the house like painting when the father and daughter come to the house, and Jennifer Aniston is Tori, the daughter. They're painting this house like fire engine red and like bright blue. And this has always bugged me. Who is painting their house like that? And they're painting at the same time, and they're not painting correctly. Let me tell you right now, they're going against the grain, and it's driving me nuts. And they've been painting for what looks like maybe 10 minutes, and they're already covered in it. Ozzy has like red and blue all over him. So maybe they hired the wrong people to paint because this is awful. How do you feel about the paint, Tyler?
It was definitely kind of weird seeing that it was kind of just like a brownish area, and then all of a sudden they're throwing red and blue paint at us. Just thought it was kind of random, but I didn't really see any other houses colored like that, so it was just weird.
Okay, so they hear a voice, go into the basement, release the leprechaun, and at the same time later on, Ozzy and Alex find the gold that's hidden in the car, and they take it. Ozzy actually swallows one of the coins, but this makes the leprechaun chase after him because he wants his gold back. So we kind of have just like an adventure where the leprechaun is chasing after them, trying to get his gold. Mm-hmm. And Ozzy and Alex secretly take it to a pawn shop, and they bring a coin in to tell the guy, like, and he's like, I need to check this out. Can you leave this here with me? So he's about to put it in a safe, and all of a sudden leprechaun like pops out of the safe, and it's one of my probably the more memorable scenes of the movie. So he pops out of the safe, and he gets a pogo stick after he attacks the guy and starts like pogoing on him. Is that memorable to you, Tyler? Or is that?
I think some of the other ones were kind of memorable, but I did like, I guess like how it looked or whatever when he was just jumping on him immediately. Right when I saw when he grabbed the pogo stick, I was just like, okay, this is how it's gonna go.
I know the person who's doing the pogo. If I read that he had like 3 hops before he couldn't do it anymore, so they had to like slow it down to make it look like he was pogoing a little bit longer. But like me, I can't do a pogo stick. Can you do a pogo stick?
I think I used to when I was a kid, but can't skate or anything. I know people know that, but
wait, you can. Oh yeah, ice skate. Sorry, yeah, he can't.
I can't
ice
roller
skate.
or ice skate, but
Pogo stick I've never been able to do. Not that many people have known had a pogo stick.
I haven't tried in like 10, 12 years, so I don't really know.
Either way, so pawn shop owner gets killed, innocent guy. I'm sorry. Yeah, then he keep chasing, and it ends in the hole back at the house. Leprechaun they give him all 99 pieces of gold, but there's one missing, the one in Ozzy. So he's not happy, and he goes to tax them again, and eventually it just turns into a whole leprechaun versus them, and they have to go find a 4-leaf clover because they go back to the retirement home, and old Grady is like dead now, but Warwick Davis, the leprechaun, he's like in his wheelchair, and he's like chasing him down the hall, and old Grady tells him, 4-leaf clover, that's the way you stop it. So they are quickly searching through the grass and actually find one, which is, yeah, right. How many times as a kid did you look for 4-leaf clover?
Never. I never looked for 4-leaf clover.
What the heck is wrong with you? Never.
I guess a lot of things. Then I never looked.
Generational gap. We always look for 4-leaf clovers. I don't think I ever found one. My daughter found one like, I don't know, 3 years ago, but she's like super lucky like that.
Reagan.
Yeah.
Figures.
So spoiler alert, but they take the 4-leaf clover and shoot it down the leprechaun's mouth, throat, and he just starts to disintegrate. And that's how they defeat him in this movie. We didn't want to go through like scene by scene type of thing, but we're going to talk about some of the scenes that really stuck out to us. The scenes that probably make this movie what this movie is. We already talked about one, the Pawn Stars, the Pawn Store one, the safe and the pogo stick. It's a classic scene from this movie. Any scenes that you want to bring up?
Of like effects or just things that I liked in general?
Just specific scenes. Like, I'll bring up another one. There's the police chase that he's driving when he goes to the pawn store. You can edit some of this if you want. When he goes to the pawn store, he sees like a kid's like car, and he decides to take that. So he's driving down the street, and a cop pulls him over, and he thinks it's a kid. But the leprechaun just like looks at him angrily.
He was like, "Okay, take off the mask,"
and he just like claws his face. that was basically going to be it. That was how he died. But then for reshoots, the studio wanted
To do more of
to do more, so they added a whole chase scene throughout the woods,
which was so stupid to me. I thought it was just too much. I don't know.
I like it for what it is, but you can kind of
the chase down was fine, but I felt like they did the chase down longer than it needed to be.
Yeah, you can kind of tell that it was filler, you know.
Yeah.
So the police officer's running through the woods, and Leprechaun is doing the whole like, I'm over here, you can't see me, like behind trees, like super corny, but I like it, and it just ends with the cop getting his neck cracked, you know. So
I thought that he was going to pop out from the other side of the tree. Like, you know, he's sitting down, the tree's right behind him, and I thought he was going to pop out on the side, but then he just falls on top of him.
On top of his shoulders.
Claws him. Yeah.
I just love that moment when the cop, like, thinks he's safe. He just, for some reason, he's running, and then he just leans against a tree, and he thinks he's safe. Yeah. Why? What's the difference between leaning against that tree and running?
And at this point, he has the gold, so he has powers now. So he can just, you know, teleport wherever he wants. So the fact that the cop thinks he's safe just was stupid to me.
Yeah, because when he first comes out of the crate, he doesn't have his gold, so he doesn't have his powers, which he never fully explained what his powers are. He doesn't seem all too powerful, actually.
Yeah, they didn't say anything.
I mean, he can change his voice and stuff like that. I guess he's probably strong. I don't really know.
Yeah, it was really just getting in people's heads and teleportation looked like, but that's about it.
All right, we already talked about the painting of the house, and the paint colors just driving me insane. That's a negative for the movie, which we'll get to negatives later. Another one is, okay, another scene when he's driving his car. He's got that little toy car or whatever, and he like rams it through the barn. So he's like souped it up and put like metal stuff on it, and and they're trying to get away in a truck that won't start, but they get out of the truck, and he rams the truck with his little toy car and flips it. I don't care what he did to this little toy car. You're not flipping a real like adult truck with this toy car. It makes no sense whatsoever. That's another scene that's just kind of like, maybe we should have went somewhere else with this, but I don't know.
I definitely have some dislikes about that barn scene at the end, but we'll get to that in the dislikes.
Okay. Other than that, there's the scene where he's eating the fake Lucky Charms cereal. Lots of people thought it was supposed to be Lucky Charms, but they weren't allowed to do it. It was never supposed to be Lucky Charms. It's just supposed to be like it as a joke. The studio apparently hated it, wanted it taken out. I just think the studio hated this movie and really probably really had no faith. But when you're talking less than $1 million budget, come on,
you should not take it as a serious movie.
Yeah, kind of just let them do their.
Just have fun with it and just don't.
Yeah, just let them do this thing. All right. Any other scenes you want to talk about, or should we just go into?
There's another scene that I thought was pretty funny when he's destroying the house, or I think it was like right before that, and he finds like a handheld mirror, and he like looks at it, clicks on it, and he gets scared, and then he kind of looks at it, and he like brushes his hair a little bit. I thought that was just kind of funny.
It's my man Warwick. That's why the movie works, my friend. All right. So for me, let's talk some positives, and this movie has two really good things going for it. The makeup effects are amazing. For such a low-budget movie, the Leprechaun has a very distinct look. He's iconic. I know his movies are lower quality, but his look is right up there with all the masters like Hellraiser and Halloween. He can go on that poster with, if you're putting like a poster of 15 horror icons, he should be one of them for sure. So that is way better than it should be. The second thing this movie really has going for it is Warwick Davis. Like I already said, he's one of my favorite actors, especially from the past. But he was perfect for this role. Like, absolutely perfect.
This movie lives and dies on him for sure. Him being like the main character of Leprechaun, basically, and all the other movies, which we'll get to later. But yeah, it lives and dies on his shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely. Without him, there is no Leprechaun series. He is the only reason that this movie has life, while everyone else is like lifeless. Yeah, so total pro, love Warwick, and this is probably one of the roles he'll be best remembered for because he does a lot. Like, yes, he has makeup on, but you can still hear his voice and his accent, and you still know it's him. Lots of his other stuff, like when he was Wicket in Star Wars, he's got a full Ewok costume on, so you can't tell it's him. But like this and Willow, these are what he's gonna be remembered for.
Yeah, the only other ones I could really remember him from is Harry Potter, and I know he has some talking bits, but you can definitely tell it's him. But I feel like this one is definitely like one of his most memorable roles.
And then a couple other positives. I think it's a perfect mix of comedy and horror. It was supposed to originally be more family friendly, but then they decided to go more horror with it. And when they knew it was low budget and how it was going to be, they decided to add more humor to it. So I think it was a really good mix of that. Not perfect, but I think that's why I like this series. I don't love this series. It's even though I like it, it's definitely lower on the totem pole, but it's good for what it is, and it knows what it is, and for that reason, it's also pretty fast paced. It never feels like it's slowed down, probably because it's only an hour and a half, so that probably helps it out a little bit. But as far as do you think the movie went smoothly?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. They kind of just hit it right off the bat. The O'Grady family like dies, but then Dan O'Grady survives or whatever, and then immediately just goes right to the next family, and then it kind of just kicks off from there. So I thought the pace of it was perfect actually.
All right. Any more positives from you?
I guess some of the effects on Warwick Davis towards the end of the movie with the 4-leaf clover, I thought was actually pretty cool. Like all the melting and
Oh yeah, I thought that was really like for the budget. I thought that was really well done.
It was really good. Yeah.
It kind of also made me think of Gremlins because it was
Yeah,
like
a
the
little
same
bit.
kind of like how he was like melting away. Just immediately thought Gremlins, which I covered for the Christmas horror review. So if you haven't watched those, go give those a watch. All right, so time to get into the negatives, Tyler.
Looks like it.
All right, this movie definitely has some negatives. It's very low budget. It looks very low budget. The acting isn't great.
I just want to say this right now. I hate the dad's acting 100%. It just.
Well, luckily, he's not in it.
Yeah, luckily
very
he's
long.
only in it for like 20 minutes, but I hated it. That was the first thing that bugged me right at the beginning.
I want to say Jennifer Aniston was annoying in this movie, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Part of it's her character, but part of it is her overacting for the character.
Yeah.
So
I could see that actually.
Warwick Davis, acting, good. Ozzy, for the type of character they were going for the movie, pretty solid.
I stood by his role. I thought it was good. I hate that he kept getting picked on basically like the whole movie, but I was rooting for him.
Yeah, the acting isn't terrible. Like, I've seen way, way worse, but it's still not great. Another negative I really have is the story is kind of just lacking. I thought it's pretty basic, pretty simple for what you could have done with a magical leprechaun, especially since you're bringing it to America from Ireland. I don't know. I just feel like there's a better story in there.
Well, you said even that they probably should have had an origin story, so maybe that would have helped a little bit too.
Yeah, maybe even if it was just like a 3-minute origin at the beginning, give us a little insight of like maybe what his powers are.
Because he is 600 years old, is what they said. So I mean, you could have explained something right at the beginning.
He says he's 600 years old, so let's get a little bit of that backstory going.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I know they hit some of that stuff in the sequels, but lots of the sequels aren't really connected story-wise. They kind of do their own thing. Another negative for me is the editing is pretty corny. I never like this stuff when they record stuff and they kind of fast forward it. You might as well put like cartoon music over it because it never looks good to me. It kind of takes any quality out of it. I know there was one scene they had to do it, and that was when Warwick Davis was in the wheelchair. He couldn't really reach.
Really?
He couldn't reach the pedals to really move the way he was. So for that reason, he was going really slow, and they had to speed it up. But you didn't have to do that with the car stuff.
Yeah, they did. They did it with like a bunch of scenes. Like, I feel like they might have done it in the forest scene when he was chasing the cop, but I definitely caught it during the wheelchair and the car scene. I just felt like it was dumb. I didn't feel like that. I didn't like that sped up stuff. But I mean, I guess the wheelchair is understandable. But
yeah, I'll accept the wheelchair because it's a physical capability. But I'm sure you could have figured something out too. But low budget, so maybe not. Another thing I didn't like is you can kind of tell that this was supposed to be kid friendly at one point, and then they kind of went in with horror. I feel like you probably should have pushed it a little bit more towards the horror. Go ahead and do the comedy part of it, but a little too family friendly in moments. Like, just give it a little bit harder of an edge.
yeah,
And I think it would have been more solid. You get that in the sequels, so that they definitely find their footing more. This is not the best one in the series, but for what it was a good, pretty solid opening. I have one more scene that's a negative that I want to talk about. And I understand the whole Leprechaun and they do their job of shining shoes, but they don't really explain it in this movie, right? I know that type of stuff from like lore and all that, but that's not common knowledge. And there's a scene where they're being chased and they decide just to throw a whole bunch of shoes at him and he's got to stop right then and like
because it hits the dirt and stuff.
Yeah.
So he was like, no, I got.
he's got to clean them all and like organize them.
The face that he had when he was looking at him, he was like, no more shoes, no more
I know,
shoes.
I know.
And then they just keep chucking at him, and I was just.
How do you take that scene serious? You know, like I know it's a comedy in moments, but you either need to explain that more before you get to that, or just don't do it.
And also, why do they have like 20 pairs of shoes in the back of the truck?
Yeah, they just moved in. Why do they have so many shoes? They're just like there. I know she's like a girl and everything, but come on.
Yeah, that was pretty funny though.
Do you have any negatives you want to talk about?
Nathan with the shotgun. He does not deserve to have the shotgun this whole movie.
Yes.
Especially when he first shoots him and he goes into that bush area. He's just loading in, shooting, but he's shooting at nothing. I was like, dude, you need to save those bullets so it's actually hitting him. You can shoot 1 or 2 times and then check, but he wasted like the whole mag basically.
I know. He might as well give another gun to Alex because I feel like he would have been a better shot.
and then like another scene that really pissed me off was towards the end when they're in the barn and he's chasing after Ozzy because Ozzy said that, I'm the one you want or whatever. So then he runs away. Tori and Nathan are standing right by the doors and they don't even try and trip him, kick him, push him. He just runs right through him and goes after Ozzy. I'm like, why don't you try and like block him? Like,
right.
I just thought that was dumb. You could have at least done something there.
It was like they only had, one take, which is probably true. This movie was shot very quickly. But yeah, like no teamwork going on. Yeah. Like just make a plan, you guys. It's you versus one leprechaun.
I do have one more negative about the Leprechaun movie. When Tori first meets Dan O'Grady, I don't like how they introduced him dying in the elevator. I thought it was very dumb. I feel like they should have had an interaction, right? Like a better interaction than that. But
and he's like on top of the elevator, and he's dying, or like he'd probably be dead already. I don't think the leprechaun would have left him alive. But yeah,
I felt like she should have met him in the room, and they should have talked for a minute. Maybe like, have him shocked that the leprechaun's back out. Maybe he should be scared. But.
No, instead they meet in the elevator just for that one line type of thing in the movies, which drive me nuts. But it's the 90s. That's how they did it. So, all right, time to hit some trivia. All right, wrote some trivia down. I don't think Tyler knows any of it, so let's go through it. First off, this movie was shot in only 3 weeks. It shows, but anytime a movie can shoot in 3 weeks, especially with heavy makeup like that, props, you guys. Low budget. You guys did it. I haven't made a movie, so can't say anything bad about it.
Yeah.
This is Jennifer Aniston's film debut, and the studio did not want her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, studio didn't want her. What's his name? Mark Jones fought for her to keep her. Eventually, they said yes, and then they also said she can stay, but she has to dye her hair blonde. She did not want to dye her hair blonde for this, so I can't remember if it was Mark Jones or somebody else was just like, just don't do it. Just show up on the first day like that, and
roll with it.
Just roll with it. They won't be able to make you change it at that point. So that's what she did.
They have like other actresses up for the role that you know of?
I don't know if there's any named people.
They just didn't want her.
They just didn't want her for some reason. This was before Friends. Friends came out after this. I think Friends may have released before this movie released. I can't remember, but either way, they didn't.
I think
want
it was
her.
like 90. I think it was like 94. So,
I can't remember. Either way, that movie definitely made this have a bigger life on VHS. Which there's another trivia. This movie only made $8.5 million at the box office, but it made $15 million on VHS and DVD sales.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang.
So pretty solid once again for a movie that only cost $900,000. The makeup on Warwick Davis took about 3 hours a day to do, which is tough. I think Warwick struggled, but I think he got along with the makeup person. So
I know that Jim Carrey had, I think it was like 6 or 8 hours on his makeup for The Grinch. So
he deserves it.
Yeah.
They should still make him do 6 hours of makeup a day.
Yeah, you saw what he said stuff about that. That if they were to do a
reboot
of
CGI.
it, yeah.
don't do it.
Yeah, I think the makeup looked better.
I don't need a reboot of it or a sequel with Jim Carrey. Just do your own thing.
Yeah.
All right, this is the first Trimark film released theatrically. I don't even know if they're still around. Probably not. They probably been bought out by somebody who then got bought out. But this is the first one that was released theatrically. I don't think it was originally going to, but it tested okay, so they just were like, throw it in theaters. Warwick Davis did his own stunts for this movie for the most part, including the roller skating, which I think the roller skates were his that he brought.
Why was he on roller skates again? What part was that at?
He's chasing. I don't remember what he's chasing him on the road on roller skates, and then he actually supposed to go through a fence, and there was like rocks there, and he was really struggling. He really struggled and was about to fall through it. So, but those were apparently his roller skates. I read so. Because he was a speed skater, I heard. I don't know. Really? I don't know how true that is, but
okay, Warwick.
That's pretty awesome. Dude's awesome. Okay, but he suffered a lung infection, and he had to miss some of the shooting
because of the movie, or just
because of the movie. Probably the makeup or something. I don't know. Got a lung infection. So there's a couple scenes in it where he was replaced by Deep Roy to be his double, especially like the bear trap scene. You can tell that the person is like taller. Which I didn't know Deep Roy was taller than Warwick Davis, but apparently he is. So he's just like hopping around, and you can tell that's a different person.
I didn't even
skinny
really
wise, leg wise.
So.
Do you know who Deep Roy is?
I do not.
Do you remember Charlie and Chocolate Factory with Johnny Depp?
Yes.
Deep Roy is the one who played all the.
Oh, okay. I got you now.
He's awesome in his own way, you guys. But that's awesome. I think the last thing I gotta say is, at the time, this Mark Jones really wanted Warwick Davis because he was probably the biggest name at the time and for little people in Hollywood, but he thought there was no way we could get him. But they sent him a script, and he accepted because he was going through a really dark time at the time, I read, and his newborn son had just passed away, and he hadn't had any roles in like months and months and months, and was actually thinking about leaving Hollywood altogether. And then this movie came along, and he thought it was a great opportunity to hop on it and just do something different, something dark. And I'm so glad he did, and I'm so glad he's still in Hollywood. So that alone makes this movie worth watching. It's supporting him, and knowing that this movie helped him get through some stuff, I really like that. So that's about all the trivia I have.
I don't got anything, so this one is all Mike.
All right. After that, let's just get to our ratings, and we'll talk about legacy and stuff for the Leprechaun.
You want to talk about quotes?
Oh yeah, the quotes. Forgot about hit us with some quotes, Tyler. I have my quote of the movie, which I always like to pick out. Yeah. So
I tried to do a quote of the movie, but I feel like it had to have been something from Warwick Davis, but I don't have. But one of them, I have the scene where Ozzy's swallowing the gold. Alex yells at him. And he says, "Nice going, Jaws." I kind of laughed out loud. I thought that was pretty funny. Another one I have was when Jennifer Aniston's character gets scraped from Warwick by the truck. And she says, she's talking to her dad. And she was like, "It was probably some animal." And she says, "I know what it feels like when a man caressed my leg." And then he looks at her and says, "You do?" I just thought that was funny again.
I can picture you laughing. I don't know. That's pretty easy.
These three that I have, I laughed out loud. So,
oh, really?
Yes. So that's why
good.
I have
if a movie can make you laugh out loud at least 3 times, that's good.
Because at this point, I was already getting annoyed by the dad of his acting, and that was kind of like something that just like bumped me up. So I thought that was funny. And then my last one was when the leprechaun destroys the house. They all walk in one by one and like act surprised about the house being destroyed. And then Ozzy, all of a sudden, he's the last one that walks in, and he says, "Oh, I think something got in here." And then Alex looks at him and says, "No shit, Sherlock." That was funny. But yeah, if I had to do like a quote of the movie, it'd have to be something from Warwick Davis, but I don't have one. But
well, lucky for you, I have a quote from Warwick Davis, because the quote of the movie has to be from Warwick Davis. So let's go ahead and do this. We'll see if I do it accent or not. I don't know. We'll try. Aye, try as they will, and try as they might. Who steals me gold won't live through the night. That's for you, Tyler.
You sounded like Warwick, so that was pretty good.
Oh, I'll take it. I'll take it. All right. So ratings. Ratings out of 5.
Yep.
Obviously 5 is the best. 0 is there's nothing redeeming about this. So
don't want to say the list.
Do you want to say the list?
Let's see if I can remember it off the top of my head. 5 is a true classic. 4 is pretty darn good. 3 is middle of the road. 2 is it should be better. 1 is it's bad. And 0 is nothing redeemable about it.
Nice. I
Thank
probably
you.
couldn't have remembered that as fast as you could have, so I'm glad you got it.
Yes.
So I will go first. I enjoy this movie. I overall enjoy this franchise, but I understand it's also not great. So to be fair, I can't give this movie more than like a 2 out of 5. It's not the best one in the series. There's better ones to come when they really figure out what they have here. But I still get a kick out of it. But it's not one that I can be like, tell people, hey, this is a great, great, great movie, because it's just not. I watch it every couple years. I don't have to watch it every year. So I think a 2 out of 5 is fair. Tyler?
I'm doubling down on a 2 out of 5. Obviously, I haven't seen any of the other movies, so I basically just have to base my score off this one. It was like a horror comedy. I don't know why I was scared of this as a kid, because it's definitely not scarier than what I thought it was going to be, but I enjoyed it for what it was.
All right. So average of 2 out of 5. I think it's a fair score. I definitely the second one and third one. Third one's probably better. But I think it's when they go to Vegas. I can't remember.
Vegas?
Yeah, I'd have to rewatch them. It's been a hot minute. So the legacy of Leprechaun is this movie has 7 sequels / reboots or legacy sequels or whatever you want to call it. Warwick Davis returns for 5 of them. The only other character from this first movie that returns is Ozzy, and he comes in the last movie that was made, which is like a sequel reboot kind of thing. In number 4, they go to space. So if Tyler gets to there, Tyler, how do you feel about would you be interested in watching more Leprechaun movies, or is this kind of like a one and done for you?
I probably would watch a few more. You said the third one's probably the best or better, whatever you said. I'd at least want to watch through some of them, see if I want to keep watching them. But
well, if you get to 3, you have to at least go through 4, because that's when they go in space.
But then I'll definitely have to watch the WW Studio one. What's his name? So
that is Leprechaun. I can't remember the subtitle. That movie is almost unwatchable. It, I think, is probably the worst reboot of any film I've ever seen. There's nothing redeeming about it. I'm telling you this all right now. Do not watch the WWE Leprechaun movie. Terrible. And the one that came after that, which is like a legacy sequel reboot kind of thing, is the only one I haven't seen. Warwick Davis isn't in it, but the guy that replaces him looks pretty solid. So I'd be interested in watching that one. And the only thing that happens after he goes to space, what can you do next? You can put him in the hood for 2 movies.
2 movies of the hood?
Yes. You have Leprechaun in the hood, and then you have Leprechaun back to the hood.
God.
Oh, yeah. I think you just got to watch this whole series, and then we should rank them and do a whole thing on Leprechaun.
Oh, God.
So if you want that, just let us know in the comments, because I will totally do that for you.
Anything for Warwick from Mike.
Oh, yes. Long live the king. All right. So after that, I think that's all we really have to say about the first Leprechaun movie. Pretty solid movie. Pretty fun watch. First timer right over here. Mm-hmm. So Tyler, just remind them, where can they hit us up at?
You can check us up on YouTube, X, TikTok, and Instagram at Real Lounge Entertainment.
And we're trying to get to 500 subscribers. So if you could,
hit that follow, like, and comment, please.
And thanks for listening. See you on the next one.
Peace.